When you see someone struggling, do you look away and keep walking? Or do you roll up your sleeves and do what you can to help? Today, we'll meet a New Jersey man who felt compelled to take action to alleviate some of the suffering of impoverished people in Newark. Now, he's grown his desire to help into a productive nonprofit, providing clothing, fresh produce, and a little hope to some of the state's poorest people. That's all up next on Still Time for Joy, where we share practical advice for weathering life's storms and inspiring stories of resilience. Hello, I'm Sandra Levine, host of Still Time for Joy. My guest today is Jeff Friedman, founder and CEO of Livingston Philanthropies, a grassroots group doing a world of good in Newark. Welcome to the show, Jeff.
Hey, thanks, Sandy. This is great.
So, we've known each other for a very long time. We worked together in television production for NJN in Newark, New Jersey. And Newark is New Jersey's largest city with a very large population of people living below the poverty line, I believe about 25%. Tell me, what prompted you to get involved with helping those less fortunate in Newark?
Well, Sandy, it was an evolution. So, working in Newark, as you said, and I saw folks lined up at St. John's Soup Kitchen. I was right there. So I began doing little volunteer things at St. John's. We made sandwiches, myself and my wife, Karen. Some people watching this might know her as Weenie on the Uncle Floyd show. And one thing led to the other, and started working in the soup kitchen and decided to, I started with a coat drive, a simple coat drive, and that was now 13, well, almost 13 years ago.
How many coats did you collect originally, and how did it grow from there?
Well, I'm going to say we collected 300 coats the first year because I wasn't smart enough to figure out to start counting. So that's an estimate, but we were doing about 2,300 coats a year. I figured it out once. I think we did 11 tons because coats are heavy, as we all know. So you get 4 or 5 or 6 coats in your arms right away. That's a lot of weight. So yeah, we were up way up into the tonnage, and those less fortunate, not just the homeless, but it's families living below the poverty line, which you mentioned in your open, and it's huge, and it's getting bigger. It's an intractable problem.
So, in addition to the coat drive, tell me how Livingston Philanthropies has grown. You do a lot more than collecting coats at this point.
Well, we do, Sandy, and it took me a while, but I became a 501(c)(3) maybe 5 or 6 years ago, a nonprofit. We began doing gently used and new family clothing. Entire, including shoes. Shoes, let me tell you, Sandy, shoes are gold downtown, and socks. I'm going to tell you why. I was outside St. John's one day, chatting with a homeless gentleman, as I do sometimes, and he said, and we ended up giving him shoes and socks because we happened to have his size, whatever it was, but I could service him. And he said, you know what, man, I'm going to tell you that when you're out on the streets, you got to take care of your feet because when your feet go, you're done. And that really, that was years ago. That resonated, and so yeah, a million things that happened. We started doing all that, growing larger and larger, again becoming the go-to spot. Then the pandemic hit. It's like holy mackerel. We were in Newark, and that's when we redid the whole organization, regrew the whole organization, and decided to get into fresh fruit and produce, as well as other foodstuffs because. People are lining up, Sandy. I drive through Newark. They're lining up. These are not, again, a lot of families living below the poverty line. Perhaps they have enough money for an apartment. Mom and dad might work, but what about food, school supplies, Christmas gifts? It's just it can get very emotional. I have to tell you, but what are they going to do? Well, they stand online for hours. Lines going all the way down the street around the corner, at multiple locations on every day of the week. I don't care what it is. I've been there. I see it. I'm in Newark 2, 3 days a week, and they get what they can for their families. So we've been doing fresh sustenance now for good 3.5 years, and we continued. And in fact, it's a huge need it's growing exponentially.
How would you describe how things changed in Newark as a result of the pandemic?
What happened was, and is right now, horrible, intractable issues became worse. People were well, they were out of work, and some now, and many are back in work. But you have to look at inflation, and it's not just food. I mean, it's everything. It's every basic life essential that we just sort of take for granted, is in need.
Costs of rents are rising. Inflation means the cost of everything is rising. Tell me about some of the other supplies that you provide.
Well, with generous donations, for every winter we do insulated gloves for the family. I think we did about 1,000 pair this past winter. Insulated winter beanies, which are, let's face it, you're outside or you're in a cold apartment, you need this stuff. Diapers, all kinds of items. Q-tips. I mean, geez, you want to know here's something that's really emblematic. We, giving things out as usual, toiletries, and we were making these little packets of Q-tips, and giving them out. So I handed a lady in one of these places. It had 4 Q-tips in it, in a little glass seam. You buy these little things at the dollar store, packaged up. I handed her the Q-tips, and she said, "Q-tips. It doesn't get any better than this." Well, that's pretty representative of what's Q-tips. I mean, it's yeah, well, it's just not good. It's not good, and we do what we can, and all we can do is our little tiny bit, because we're not gonna solve any huge societal problems. That's for sure. Wish I could.
And that's one of the reasons I wanted to talk to you specifically today is to show that one person can make a decision to do something rather than to just look the other way and help in whatever way you can. How would you like to encourage other people who are seeing a problem to also step up to the plate?
Well, there are a lot of ways people can help, Sandy. What we do is only one way. And so there are a huge amount of, well, not enough, but a huge amount of, nonprofits and charities, people doing good work. And what I feel is that many people want to help. They want to do things. They just don't know what to do, where to go, what the direction is. And I suggest they go online and start looking at possibilities and check them out. I mean, not everyone's going to start a 501(c)(3). I certainly never knew that I would, but there are all kinds of ways to volunteer. And I think the important thing, though, is to do something that one feels comfortable with, feels good with, and it works for them. I mean, I've had different volunteers over the years. Some, they weren't that excited with this kind of work and they didn't continue. Some have been with me since day one in the beginning. So I think it's really about finding what's right for you, and executing. And you know what? If that doesn't work, so go for something else. I mean, it's a big universe out there.
With a lot of need out there. So, but as far as Livingston Philanthropies specifically goes, what are 2 or 3 or 4 ways people could help your organization?
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, donations are great because what do? We turn it into product. That's it. So with the monies that come in, and we believe me, we're a small organization. Folks are donating, and so I'm supposed to buy stuff, right? That's what I do. Groceries, the fresh fruit, and again, in the winter, it's the gloves and all the seasonal things. So donations would be great. Could I give my website?
Sure, of
Yeah,
course.
it's pretty simple. It's njhomeless.org, njhomeless.org. And right there, people can log on, or they can also go to PayPal if they like, paypal.me /NJHomeless, paypal.me /NJHomeless. And any size contribution matters.
So, in addition to giving financial donations, volunteers can pitch in. Can people also donate goods to you, or do you prefer monetary donations and then you can buy things in bulk?
Well, both are good because, as I said, we turn donations into product. But yes, we are the go-to now in our community in Livingston, New Jersey, as well as surrounding communities. So folks know that when they have a lot of family clothing to donate or other items, they know to come to us. They don't want to go to the bin. And I'm sure the bins are fine and all, but who knows, where things go. And the other thing is, folks, around where I live, folks they have some really quality merchandise. So they bring them on hangers from the cleaners or from the closet, and hang. I have an arrangement. My garage, by the way, I call Livingston Philanthropies World Headquarters, because that is my world headquarters, and I love it in there. I mean, I came from the retail business, and I have a whole thing going on in there with tables and stuff. But they hang the clothes or neatly fold them into boxes or bags, drop them off. Otherwise, I run it. I mean, it's running a business. It's, what that's like, and it's a whole whole thing.
And you had a very, very long and distinguished career in television
Thank you.
production. I
Thank you.
believe you have won 13 Emmy Awards. You are a
True.
wonderful director,
Oh, thank you.
directing multi camera shoots for
Thank you.
all kinds of productions, including big musical productions, symphonic productions. How has your work in television production prepared you for this current work?
Well, I'll tell you what, my entire career in TV and even before definitely prepared me for this work because everything I learned along the way, all the skills I'm using here, it's like, who knew? So I write press releases every week. Okay, I did some of that. I do photography. I do editing of the photos, running a business. I mean, I was always a manager too, as you know. But the big thing is I learned how to juggle multiple projects at one time. And when I say multiple projects, we were there together. That could be a lot of projects. Well, here, this is much less stressful and much easier than producing a television show. That's how I look at it, and I like doing it. It's great. It's my life, and what else am I going to do?
You are now in your early 70s and retired from the stressful world of broadcast television, but you've turned this into a full-time job. I mean, this is taking up all your time running a nonprofit and getting the supplies that are needed, getting the donations. How do you feel about your work right now? How does helping others make you feel?
Well, of course, it feels great. And really, that's of course the end result, just like when we made TV shows, you still do. It's the end result. People are going to watch it. Well, the end result here is folks are going to get it. And I like everything about every process I have to go through to get to that end when folks get things. And there's so many, listen, people that are on the street, Sandy, or, with poor families, just like anyone else, and I just love it. And my wife too, she loves it. She makes the toiletries gift bag. She'll sit there for hours, and people donate many, little. Well, we used to go with only the little toy, from the hotels. Well, of course, now we're doing families for years. They need the big ones too. She wraps them all up, puts them in bags, and either we give them out or we give them to our distribution partners in Newark, and they hand them out. And we just love it. As I say, it's our life, and it just evolved this way. Who knew? I didn't know.
What have you learned from this about what's important in life?
And I feel just as in life, we're here to be nice to people. I really believe that. So this takes it a step further, and we get to be nice to people, and they're nice to us, and they get these items that they need for basic existence. And so, it's all good. I mean, have you seen the price of diapers, wipes, women's products? We do a lot with women's products rather. It's beyond. So the fact that we're able to do this for folks, it's kind of neat, and it's kind of, as I say, just what we do. We all do what we do. This seems to be what we do.
In your work, you work with certain churches and other nonprofits, and I've heard you say that you've been told you found your ministry. Would you say that that's true? Have you found your purpose?
Yeah, I think it is true, and I never thought of it as a ministry. Although it is the reason I do this, and we do this, it is a spiritual thing. That's for sure. I mean, that's what started me way back when with the soup kitchen and the whole thing, and the coats. But yeah, apparently, yeah, and these ministers who we're very good friends with. Our friend Pastor Dan in Livingston, he says it's a ministry, as do my pastor friends down in Newark. So yeah, I guess it is.
I want to ask you more about the fresh produce because I know that that is a huge problem for people living below the poverty line to have any kind of fresh food. Talk to
Yeah.
me about the initiative, the green initiative, I think you call it, to bring fresh produce to people.
So the Green Initiative is all about, providing fresh produce and fruit to underserved communities. And here's what I want to do with the Green Initiative. We've now expanded to a second distribution partner. So now we stock two similar events in totally different areas of Newark in the city. I'd like to go five distribution partners. I would like to raise the funds, and we've never really gone out for a formal grant. People kind of just donate. I'm going to have to do that because five distribution partners a month at $1,000 a month each or $800, right away, that's a lot of money. But, based on how we've evolved already, I think it's possible. And again, it's not that hard. Folks say, oh, geez, you're busy, you're doing this. Again, it's much easier than producing a TV show. You do it, you sit down, you do the thing, you go out, and And there's still time for lunch in Newark. I will be, for full disclosure, I have my favorite Newark restaurants for about the last 35 years since I've always worked in Newark. I kind of time deliveries around lunchtime and do what we do, and we end up and have a lunch, and then we, maybe on the way home we bring here's something we do. We bring I don't talk about this stuff ever, but you're asking me, and you're a good interviewer, so I will answer your question. Um, we bring what I call our to-go bag along. What's that? Well, it's just a plastic bag, but it has all items folks need because there's homeless people along the way. Everyone sees them. They're at the exits and along the road. So in the winter, it's gloves, beanies, socks, toiletries all year round, and other items. We stock it up, and I mean, some of the people. There's women too, of course, but some of the guys, we know them by name for years already. There's Larry, right off Route 280, things like that. So it all sort of combines together to try to help out just like a little bit. That's it. The Q-tip lady.
Yeah.
I mean, what are you going to, here's another one, Sandy. So when we were doing coats, I still remember we didn't have a truck. That's the other thing. We fundraised. We got a van. I used to myself and my volunteers would load up my car, just a regular sedan. I didn't own an SUV. I remember that day we had 137 coats packed in where I could barely, shift from drive. Went to one of our distribution partners in Newark Emergency Services for Families, and we go in to deliver. There's a lady with a black sort of vinyl winter coat, an older lady, and she was taping it with black electrical tape to fix it. Wow, I mean, can you imagine? And what the heck is going on here?
Yeah.
So we brought the coats in. We ended up having a great time. We ended up having a fashion show just with this lady and us and some of the staff. She picked out two very beautiful coats, very warm coats, and she left with it that day. And that's makes you I still remember that was a few years ago, but I'm still remembering that as sort of an emblematic moment in our now 13-year history.
So, final question, Jeff. Where do you see this going? What's your ultimate dream for Livingston Philanthropies?
What's my ultimate dream? I would like to keep this going just as long as I can, Sandy. Just as long as, thank goodness I have health and I have energy and, and all the things that I guess I had during my regular career. And I just realized, I've realized doing this, I'm a person that needs projects. What makes me happy is doing projects, working. And so as long as I can keep this going, I have no plans of shutting it down. Can I find someone to take it over when I do stop? That's going to be tough. But yeah, my dream would be to supply as many places as possible with produce and fruit and all the stuff I've talked about already. And let's keep it going, man. Why not? What else am I going to do? I might as well try to do what I enjoy. I think folks that want to get involved, they want to do things, whether it's what we do or something else, you got to look into it and do something to go where your heart leads you. I guess I'll say it's that. Go where your heart leads you. And apparently, this has led my heart and Karen's heart and others, and here we are into my 70s.
Jeff, it's so great to see you. I'm so proud of you for what you're doing to help.
Thank you.
And I hope some of our listeners will jump on the bandwagon and help you out or get involved in their own way with helping. And thank you so much for being on the show today.
And thanks so much for having me, Sandy. It's really, really a pleasure to be with you.
If you found today's show helpful, please share the information with someone who needs it and follow Still Time for Joy for more practical tips on weathering life's storms, as well as inspiring stories of people who have turned their pain into purpose. Please consider supporting the work that goes into producing the show on Patreon. Follow Sandra Levine Productions on Facebook and YouTube, and learn more at sandralevine.com.